I'm Lisa Heintzelman with Illuminations Consulting, and as a business sales and leadership coach, I'm investing my time and energy in empowering individuals, teams, and organizations to be successful. I think about it as a business owner and entrepreneur, you're great at your craft and your specialty. You're passionate about why you do what you do, and at the same time, often become frustrated related to all things business, marketing, and sales. And so I'm pulling together those best practices so that you can integrate them into what it is that you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis as you're working not only in but on your business. How are you providing opportunity for your customers to buy? Why and how are you really getting to pursue your passion, create your reality, and bring value to the individuals, families, businesses, teams, and communities that you serve? So I'm fascinated by why people are doing what they're doing and making sure, again, that you have the right resources and tools to integrate into your business, especially with a focus on being efficient, effective, and productive. We don't need one more thing to do. And one of the things about social media is then somebody's always saying, do this, do this, do this. And then we say, okay, now we're going to do this. And we're not really doing it for purpose. And so we're going to kick off part of our conversation today about what's your why for social media. And when you decide about your strategy, why you're doing what you're doing in your business, it helps you to make better decisions about why and how you're engaging on social media and or anything else related to your business overall. So I have a couple handouts for you. On the left-hand side of your packet, I have a section there about what's your why for social media. I want you to take a moment and write down your business goals or your priorities overall, because that sets a tone for why and what and how we might do on social media. So take a minute just to do that beginning section there related to your business goals. And think about expanding some things related to your business goals here, that we're not just talking about your business goals for social media, talking about what are your business goals? How many clients do you want? How many customers do you want? What else are you trying to have happen? How much revenue do you want to generate? What else are you trying to have happen in your business? Because when you think about it from your business goals specifically, that drives your social media strategy about why and what you do. And consider that social media, as you began to say, is that place that you can build awareness. You can be sharing out your brand. You can attract customers or clients to you. You can stay top of mind. Which enhances your customer loyalty. So there's all kinds of different things that can happen with social media. One of the things that I want you to think about is that it's not called post media, it's called social media. So it's not just about posting your stuff out there and hoping somebody cares about it and does something with it. It's called social media from the aspect of you want the interaction and engagement from who is there, that you can keep that conversation going online in front of the other people who are seeing what those threads are on topics that you would share out, and then pull it offline by sending a direct message to somebody or an email or whatever that also says, thank you for engaging. I welcome the opportunity to chat with you, and scheduling a one-on-one. For those of you that are service and relationship based, which most of you are, you're trying to earn a one-on-one. So how are you putting out content that is interesting and engaging so that then somebody would be interested to have a one-on-one with you? To think about what kind of content that you're going to put out there. It's about what kinds of problems do you solve? What kind of value do you bring? Why engage with you? What are the results and outcomes? And so your social media can be very educational based so that we get to learn something because we don't know about debt and all of those kinds of things. So how are we putting out information that is interesting and engaging? So I want you to brainstorm, and this is what I call your competitive edge, and it's one of those pieces that we don't often do within our business. We think about our products and our services and the benefits of them and how we're so wonderful and how our stuff is so great, but we're not doing that from the client's perspective. How do you keep your industry jargon out of what it is that I care about as your audience out there? I don't know what I don't know, so I need you to be that expert who's going to bring me value overall. So take a minute to brainstorm some words and phrases. I call them your power words and phrases that relate to the problems you solve, the value that you bring, because those topics can become some of your content that you share out through social media. So take a moment to brainstorm some of those things. As much as you can, think about how you're helping somebody to save time, energy, and dollars, and also help them generate more revenue if that's what you're related to. And how do you make their life better? How do you make something more efficient, effective, productive, happier? Any of those kinds of things. You want to be catching somebody more so from an emotional standpoint than necessarily a logical standpoint. We buy on emotion over that. And this is an activity that isn't done in 5 minutes. This is one of my favorite activities to do with my clients because part of my superpowers are pulling those words out of your head, heart, and soul that then become those power words and phrases that you use. So keep this nearby because it's an important activity to do because we get too hung up on our products and our services and our industry jargon kinds of things that we're really not thinking about a big picture from the variety of problems that you solve and value that you bring from your clients' various perspectives. They all want and need different things and come from different points of view and experience. Let's think about your target market based upon your business goals. And notice here that I shared this in the aspect of both what we call the demographics and the psychographics. So the demographics are, male, female, and age, and geography, and all those things. Think about it also from the psychographic standpoint of what are they thinking about? What do they care about? What are their interests? What impacts them? Because that leads to wanting to choose to work with you as well. And for any of you who have when we get too much to say, everybody is my client, that casts way too wide of a net out there. So if you have multiple buckets, feel free to put those different buckets here too of the individuals, families, businesses, teams, communities that you serve. So take a moment to brainstorm some things about your target market. Any details about your target market that you want to share?
I will.
Okay.
I'm a bookkeeper, and I have a niche that I'm digging into, and that is restaurants. And I'm just looking at the targets to what is their issue. I'm not looking for franchise restaurants. I'm looking for the smaller restaurants, everything down to a bistro, to a food truck.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that is using, I hope, a POS system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why would they want me as their bookkeeper?
Right.
I can help them stop stress, financial stress, if they will let me do their book. If they're doing the books themselves, would you like to get that off your plate? Because you could free up time and you have more time with your family, and you can I can help you organize your finances and lead to financial focus
Mm-hmm.
or growth in your business.
Mm-hmm.
My tagline on my business card is my business name is Matt Bookkeeping Solutions LLC, and my tagline is mapping your ROI and future growth.
Right. And you're helping businesses to know their numbers, which they don't often know.
Exactly.
And
I like that. Thank you.
And I'm dangerous enough. And you also are providing them with the opportunity to make data-driven decisions
Exactly.
in their business by knowing their numbers to make decisions for the next day. One of the things that's interesting about bookkeeping is it's often a reactive kind of thing, because we looked at the last month and it's always like a catch-up kind of thing, or it's always an excuse kind of thing, like this happened and so now hopefully next month is going to be better. And the problem is oftentimes it continues to go backward, and we have a problem with that. So thinking as big picture around bookkeeping being a proactive thing,
right,
not just a reactive kind of thing, is essential as well.
Thank you. I got my money's worth right there.
That
was wonderful.
Great. And so when you think about your target market, everybody out there is a suspect, and then you have your prospects. And you notice I gave you a little tip on here about qualified prospects. Qualified prospects have to have a want or a need. They need to be the decision maker, and they have to have the dollars to invest. Always, 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 I don't do a lot of always or nevers. Always, always, always think about yourself as an investment, not a fee, not a price, not a cost, not an expense, except when somebody's writing you off on their taxes as appropriate. Always be an investment. So, what social media platforms do your qualified prospects use? And I want to quantify this. All because I'm on Facebook doesn't mean I want to interact with you and buy your stuff on Facebook.
Okay.
Right. So and I'm just saying that as a general kind of thing. Where are your prospects hanging out, and why and where would they want to engage with you on what kinds of platforms? Take a moment to think about that just a little bit. One of the things that I love are the groups on Facebook, Alignable, LinkedIn, because there's people out there thinking and wondering about the variety of value that you can bring. Alignable is so awesome. When I get the emails that show I get emails almost daily that have what people are posting in groups, 5 or 6, and I just go through them and go check and see what somebody's asking about or a topic that they're bringing up, and then engage there, asking a question, giving a tip, depending upon what it is that they're doing. And then I'm immediately, like I said earlier, taking that then offline and saying, I welcome the opportunity to continue the conversation with you. So I'm earning those one-on-ones because I'm making an introduction, I'm gaining favorable attention, I'm adding massive value, and I'm earning one-on-ones through some of that engagement there. So what social media platforms are you thinking about?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Lineable. Those are the ones I mostly use.
Mhm.
TikTok I need to get back to, but the rest of them I'm on
Yeah.
regularly.
LinkedIn, Instagram, Alignable. I'm not on it, but I know Blue Sky is a new platform.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And, think about too, what's manageable for you. Get good at one or two or three platforms rather than feeling like you have to spread yourself thin across 6 of them, unless you get yourself a nice groove that it makes sense to be there. And there's lots of tools that are out there to help you with scheduling posts and things like that as well. And being meaningful and purposeful about where you're hanging out. And if you're going to post, then how are you doing the engagement afterwards? How are you thanking people for likes? How are you engaging with them? What did I say earlier? It's not called post media, it's called social media. So how are you engaging in that conversation, thanking people for likes and comments and all that? And again, taking it offline to earn that one-on-one conversation as you go. Okay, so let's take some time there's another handout that I have for you that looks like this about customer engagement and client relationships. Remember that I said that you have that opportunity for building your brand and awareness and engagement. Take just a moment to read over some of these statements that are here about what it is that you're doing related to customer engagement and client loyalty. And on the back, I have a place for you to sort of reflect upon that around what are your strengths, what might be some of your areas for growth, and what might be some ideas to develop. So take a moment to look at this a little bit about why you're doing what you're doing, so that you can really be thinking about how you can be adding massive value out there on your social media. Okay, so I want to go to the third sheet that I gave you here. When we think about social media, we have that opportunity to do our posts on social media, and also why and how we might utilize blogs or newsletters or things like that. This sheet that I have for you is an opportunity to sort of think about what would be some topics that you might share content out on. And I also have it a little bit to kind of play with it around the aspect of doing a newsletter. If you want to do a newsletter as well, which you can also share your newsletter on social media as part of your content that you're putting out there. So what can you do that's education based? What can you share that's about solving problems and bringing value? What kind of interactions and connections can you be making? What are tips that you could share out, or best practices that I can take away? And then I can say, what else are you putting out there? I got to keep following this person. What else are they going to tell me that can help me out? Because then I'm starting to gain that favorable attention toward you in what it is that you're doing. How are you saying thank you overall? Do you have any kind of loyalty or rewards program to highlight out there? And then I like to keep this small down here about specials, discounts, or promotions. But if that's a case, how are you sharing opportunities out there as well? One of the things that was so great with one of my clients, he's a health coach. And, we follow these bright, shiny objects of marketing, and it's like, I got to do these blogs, I got to write this newsletter, I got to do these things. Well, as he was starting his newsletter, he was like throwing up everything, into the newsletter. So we started to brainstorm all the different things that relate to, because we already brainstormed his competitive edge so we know what his power words and phrases are. So what he's done is broken up his newsletter into those different categories that we're talking about: energy, just energy. We're talking about just hunger. We're talking about why diets don't work. And he's made sections in his newsletter that do his little short little content blog kind of thing, and then making a connection of his nugget for us to take away, and then sharing an article that supports that topic because somebody else is saying it too, and then that call to action of let's continue that conversation. And he's like, wow, this makes it so much easier to go through there, and we don't need you to tell us everything about everything. Think about what your one topic is that you want to rotate through your post, or the kinds of things that you want to do that inspire us to think and do, and to come back again to follow and find you. Yes. You want to keep the engagement there and the enthusiasm there. Again, from the social media aspect, not the post media aspect.
That's the part I think I have the biggest problem with it.
And then earn the one-on-one if that's your next step with that person as well. And we'll come back to you. I know you were going to talk.
Yeah, and that's what I was, that's been my weakest point, is coming up with that call to action,
Mm-hmm.
or putting that in there. And I'm starting to learn that. It's starting to be driven into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote here down and then took a big note. But I think that's the biggest thing is I'm really great about putting out good content, but I don't.
But what am I supposed to do with it? Yep, you got to tell me. And while it might look pretty and professional, anything that you get from there, make sure that you are reading every word so that it is your voice and it's what you want to be putting out there. It's way too easy to read and also read what you think it said. It's even when you do your own proofreading kinds of things that I've shared with clients. Somebody else needs to read what you're putting out there before you do, because when we proofread it, we put the words in that we think it is, and we sometimes don't read it for exactly that it is, that we lost a word, or it's the wrong tense, or whatever those things are. But more importantly, how is it your voice? Okay, so let's think about your creating, posting, engaging, and tracking strategy for your social media. That's the last section on the first sheet that we were using earlier. What makes sense to you in why and how you want to engage on social media? There's lots of schools of thought about how often. For the people that post daily, I'm concerned about how are you doing the engagement if you're posting daily, as opposed to however many times a week or one time a week or something like that. And if you're not doing the engagement and you're not doing the tracking, then you're missing who's liking and commenting or any of those kinds of things. So you can choose to do daily, as people are talking about, and sometimes multiple times a day. I don't understand it. I only ever did one day a week because it took, to keep up with what was going on and to earn those one-on-ones, because that was my purpose for out there. That really made sense. So think about from how can you rotate your content? How would you want to do that? What are the days? How are you going to do your engagement? And then, what are you going to have for any of your tracking strategy of what kind of engagement that you're getting, how you're earning one-on-ones, or whatever your other measurables might be from your social media. And I'll throw one more thing out to you too. There's so many people that are still using Gmail addresses or some other old email kind of address. Guess what? If somebody finds your email somewhere, they don't know anything about who you are, even though you're describing, Illuminations Consulting at gmail.com. You don't know it's Lisa. You don't have my domain. And so switch over to use your domain email so that you're saying Lisa at illuminationsconsulting.com, because if you see my email somewhere, you could go to my website from my domain. If you only have Gmail or something else, you don't know where to go and you don't really know what that business name is. I used to say that, remember that networking is not called net eating and drinking. However, there's lots of business that's been done on napkins and breaking bread and making things happen at the same time. So if you're doing the both and of the networking, eating and drinking and making those things happen, that's great. But if you're only doing one or the other, then you're not inspiring somebody to think and do and to make an introduction, gain favorable attention to earn a one-on-one. So thank you very much, and I look forward to you. Thank you so much.